And here's tonight's topic: Pocahontas, Disney animated princess based off an actual Native American from Virginia, the first state which we all know from history as well. The first film came out in 1995, 30 years ago, which is amazing. So, yeah. When was the first time you ever saw this one?
Um, for me, I think I saw it originally in theaters. And then yeah, so for Pocahontas, I originally seen it in theaters. I did rewatch it this morning because I haven't watched it in long since like the '90s. Um, but yeah, but then I think in the either the first or first grade or whatever, I did dress up as like one of the male Native Americans from the movies and for Halloween. But yeah, but overall, I like the movie. I know it's not historically accurate, but the messages in there is pretty good for the time.
Yeah, it's really good. Yeah, they knew how to handle things a lot better back then than today. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. It starts off with yeah, yeah. It starts off with John Smith and his crew traveling on a boat to the unite to the Native America to North America.
Yeah, to
With
Virginia.
yeah, yeah. They were. It starts off with them struggling, making their struggle through a storm and rough tides up ahead. Yeah, Thomas, one of his crewmates, was voiced by Christian Bale, and Smith, we know, was voiced by the famous Mel Gibson.
Yeah,
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Quite.
so the beginning of the movie, so it starts off in England. Everyone's cheering that. So they do indicate that they fought Native Americans before, what they call savages. And John Smith was the hero for wherever previous battles they have had. And then they set sail, and the main villain, Governor Radcliffe, basically he's kind of jealous of conquistadors getting gold on their quest. So he's assuming that in the new world in Virginia that they're going to find gold where they go to in Virginia, which you kind of find out that's not the case.
Yeah. Yeah. Radcliffe. Yeah. Yeah. He's quite the imperial. He's quite an imperial figure with such a hubris in the animated movies. He was voiced by one of the. He was voiced by. Well, let's just say that he. Yeah, He was leading the. He was leading the crew out to the Americas, and he too was. He had quite an ambition.
Yeah, so he's kind of like Radcliffe. Basically, besides the gold, he's looking for fame and ignition for finding gold to make him rich back when he goes back to England. Um, so other than that, he's trying to like use the crew as his source to gain his wealth and nobility, or pretty much. John Smith as the hero, he's just like he's mainly just trying to be out there for everybody else. But if battle came to, he would be knowing what to do and whatnot. As from that,
Yeah, and Radcliffe also in the first movie owns a pug called Percy. Yeah, the white dog who later ended up becoming friends with me, with the raccoon and the hummingbird, and started to reside with the tribe. Yeah, yeah, quite an interesting change in events too.
Yeah, but yeah, so the movie pretty much goes into like three or four acts. The first act is um from the English side is everyone gathering together. They're getting ready to travel to the Atlantic to get to the Americas. While the other part of the first act is the Native American tribe that Pocahontas is in is they just came from battling another tribe and celebrating, and the hero from that tribe, which was Kokum, which he was set to be marry Pocahontas from her father. So it was like an arranged marriage situation, and um, so Pocahontas is at the same time she's kind of dealing with like should I do I you know she still has the responsibility of doing what her father says, so she's prepared to have marriage with Kokum,
Yeah,
but she doesn't quite feel right that he's the right person for her because not that he's not not that he's not her type, it's just he's more kind of a standoffish type of person and doesn't smile the way that she pleases.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, she's one willing. She follows her. She she seeks to follow her own path. From what I've learned from watching the movie.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. She. Oh yeah, yeah. That she. Yeah. After having this discussion with her father, she. Yeah. She starts rowing on her boat through within the forest, all the way to meet up with. Well, yeah, and that's a ship. Yeah, she starts ro- rowing her boat down the river bend. Yeah, and all the way up to meeting up with grandmother Willow. You know, the willow tree.
yeah. So for her, there's a lot. So compared to her to the other tribe members, she's really in tune with nature. So she's able to, she gets signs from the wind, ripples in the water. The grandmother willow tree speaks to her and is like her, kind of like her Jiminy Cricket or her guidance um, throughout the story.
Yeah, kind of like her spirit guide.
Yeah, and but you do find on her father. Um, her father basically gives her a necklace that was from her mother that passed away, and and that was her mother's well, basically wedding necklace since they're not dealing with rings like a European style. Um, so she takes that on. So then towards the end of the first act, the the Europeans make it to shore and they start setting up and they start having stories of pretty much of what the quote unquote savages would be like and dealing with them. Focus and then from the scene that you're showing, Pocahontas eventually sees the sails from the ship and kind of like there's a disturbance in the forest in Star Wars. She kind of
Yeah,
the her and the rest of the tribe have feel that and then they get to take a peek of what these foreigners are, which they will call the pale skins, and they got
yeah.
armor, and then the local shaman kind of describes them with what type of weaponry and stuff they use. Hey, Malty.
Hello,
Hey,
welcome.
Boondoo.
Hey, how you been, man? I haven't seen you in a long time.
Yep.
It has been a while, man. Also, Sergeant, hail to you. Sorry to
Yeah,
interrupt what y'all been talking about, but
yeah. How how's the family doing?
Everyone's been doing good, man. You know,
Yep.
we're just hanging out. I rewatched Pocahontas 2 last night to try to get into the mood for this stream. We can
Yeah,
get to that when we get to that one.
I rewatched the first one. I didn't realize there was a second one. 'Cause I remember I saw I never watched the second one. I only watched the first one, and I thought it was a good conclusion.
It was one of those straight to video ones that Disney used to do way back in the day, kind of like Return of Jafar with Aladdin.
Yeah,
Some of those were actually bangers. Well, they actually did Toy Story 2 that way. It was supposed to be straight to video.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it released it to theaters.
Yeah, it did hit the theaters and actually became like one of the most beloved ones.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, and as soon as Pocahontas sees the ship, the everyone else was drawn to the presence of the British settlers. Yeah, as soon as they arrived, uh, yeah, Radcliffe wanted everyone to get to work right away, scouting the vicinity for gold and set up camp. And they even there was also and each, much like Pocahontas, Radcliffe and others had their own song to sing.
I will say,
Yeah.
man, going back and rewatching Pocahontas, because I am on record saying my parents took me to see this in the theaters, and I was like, this isn't for men. Like, this is gay as shit. But rewatching it as an adult, I was like, man, the music kind of slaps. Like the story is way more well thought out. But this just goes back to Michael Eisner's, the Disney Renaissance. This is when it was the best.
You bet it
Yeah.
was.
Yeah, another cool thing about this movie compared to other Disney movies is the real focus on colors for the mood of whatever scene they're in.
Colors of the Wind.
Yeah, so so basically the wind changes colors depending on the mood or what's happening in the scene that they're in. So the war scenes will have more reddish colors, darker red tones. The more peaceful, whimsical stuff is more purplish and blues. And then, but yeah, the real emphasis on colors throughout the movie is like something that should also be noted.
Yeah, it was way more artistic than I think a lot of people gave it credit for upon its release. Because I do remember news stations coming out and talking about, they started talking about quote unquote indigenous people and like their struggle. And I was like, that's not what it was about. It's not about that. It's just taking a demographic and telling not a true story, but halfway true story, because she actually did end up with John Rolfe going to England and then later dying of, I think, typhus. But anywho. Yeah, I was like, this was representation before it was thrown down your throat.
Yeah,
It was just a good ass story that everyone could, people could relate to.
definitely.
Yeah, and the other thing I want to note too, unlike modern movies, they don't paint the Europeans as straight up evil. It's more of a misunderstanding of both sides. Of course, you got your bad guy of the film, which is John Radcliffe. But it's nothing like, oh, well, these guys are bad just because they're European. A lot of them are there just to explore and stuff, while his intention is to steal as much gold. Turns out there was no gold. But while the natives are there, it's also a misunderstanding because the shaman's like, I don't know what these type of weapons or what they're wearing is. It seems dangerous. These guys seem dangerous. We need to keep alert and watching.
Yeah, and speaking of Coco, soon as he and his fellow and two fellow natives came across the settlers, they eventually engaged. One of them got shot and probably ended up dead. While Coco fended them off as long as he can before they could retreat back to their camp. Yeah.
So, what Kokum also represent is like the tide in between both sides of their misunderstanding. because at the same time, the natives were also calling the quote unquote pale skinned people savages too, because they don't their ways were different, and um, they're not in tune with nature as you would say the natives are. So like you, um, so they it's kind of like the Gundam series where both sides could have good and evil elements to it, as opposed to just being all one sided.
Yep.
Yeah, more like two sides of the same coin. And like there's this old adage that everyone says, or people have said for quite a long time, is like you fear what you don't understand, or you're
Right.
scared of what you don't understand. And that's exactly what was going on with both sides. See, a lot of the sailors, at least on the English side, they were coming over there, sold a bill of goods that, like, hey, you go back there, you go over here, you help us find this gold, you survive this trip. They didn't even know that the Indians were going to be there. It's like, but you can go back home rich and provide for your family. So they didn't know what they were getting into. Obviously, you had the higher brass like Ratcliffe and everyone that had ulterior motives, but they didn't know what they were getting into. The Indians didn't know what was showing up. It's almost like some of those indigenous tribes in Brazil and everything, like in the Amazon forest, that they don't they think that airplanes flying over are gods, and that's coming to tell them a story. Like y'all, I'm sure y'all have heard of that at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah, we saw that scene. Yeah, as soon as we saw that scene where they were doing shaman magic to show them projections of war and peace and war. Yeah, that's what. Yeah, and for that but of course they didn't exactly bother engaging the settlers yet. They needed to wait to observe furthermore as the film
Mhm.
progressed.
Do you think? Okay, so since you put it that way, Sergeant, and this just came across my head. Do you think the reason why they needed to observe them more before they would almost be like domesticated animals, which is a way a lot of people would say some of the tribes were, because some of them actually teamed up with America and some of them fought against.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that
Yeah.
happened during the.
Well,
Yeah,
my understanding of that is just like in Africa too. A lot of like I I know a lot of people on more the left side of the aisle like to picture um, um, tribal people as like peaceful, just living in harmony. But a lot of times they were at war with each other, and that's how we even got slavery in the United States. It was another tribe conquered another tribe and sold them off for the European weapons, or as the case some places in America is like one tribe bullies a bunch of others, and I take it not many of us want to be sacrificed to the sun god and thrown
yeah,
down a giant flight of stairs. Um, and oh well, these guys, God, you just have to pray to him for forgiveness or something. Maybe that sounds a lot better. I'm joining this guy's side or whatever, you know. So as long as the humans' existence has been around, we had weapons of going after each other. So what this movie does well, because they do establish that this tribe had defeated another tribe early on in the film. You just don't see that. And then the Europeans, which I forgot his name, um, uh, with John Smith. My bad. With John Smith, he you could there's stories of him fighting battles with the natives before and winning, and then he became a local hero in their town in England. So uh so there are stories, so it's not like they were just peaceful people. This is a warrior tribe, and you got a warrior group of people coming down there and colliding and meeting each other for the first time.
Yeah, that's exactly the first few scenes. That's what it is. It's the chief and Cocoam come back from conquering a tribe, which is what happened all the time. Now it is kind of brushed under the rug, but it is the subtext because they stayed as true as possible while still having, artistic license. But he comes back, and that's when Cocoam is just like, he proved himself a brave while we conquered this other tribe. Now I deem him worthy of marrying my daughter Pocahontas because she needs a husband. And that was just the way it was back then. So to see the juxtaposition of some kind of subtext right in the beginning, and then when the Brits get there, so to speak, stop me if I make like slurs that you don't want on your channel. I'm trying not to, but so like when the Englishmen show up and everything like that, it's almost like, hey, they're being conquered, we need to strategize and everything like that, even though they just strategized to take over another tribe.
Right.
So it was like tribalistic warrior mindset. Like, we have to protect things, and if we want something, we'll go out and take it by force, honor, duty, and basically what's best for us, not what's best for a community that wasn't a community.
Right.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
But I love that all that is shown without you being like hand fed and told as a viewer.
Yeah. Yeah, because I got that like recently with K-pop Demon Hunters, which I also recently saw it in theaters as well. Where some people were like, "Hey, I wish they told more than like they would hint at things at the beginning of the movie," and then a lot of modern folks are like, "Oh, well, why didn't they show us that part?" And I'm like, "Well, they didn't need to. I thought it was self-explanatory, where you can just, I mean, it gives you backstory to the universe, but you can move on from that."
Yeah.
I haven't watched K-pop Demon Hunters, so like, not a big fan of anime or that kind of stuff. But to each their own.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's pretty good. Even if you're not into K-pop, I know a few people didn't like it. One actual film critic that I know didn't like it, and he's like, "I'll be the dissenting voice." I was like, "Oh man." So, but other than that, I mean, I watch anime and K-pop, and I watch a lot of Asian culture stuff all the time, so I kind of fit right in. I was just disappointed in my theater that not that many people wanted to sing at the sing along, because I was hoping to be like a sea of chicks in there, and here's me, the one guy in there, and I'm like, yeah, I know all the songs, but that happened. So,
Yep. Yeah. Soon as John Smith goes out on his own, soon as John Smith goes out on his own in search of to explore, Pocahontas comes across him over by the waterfall. Yeah, she was observing him at first, but soon as but then she reveals herself to him as a beautiful maiden of the forest, like some beautiful maiden of the forest.
Weren't they both tracking each other? And like, didn't he actually? I'd have to go back and rewatch. Didn't he shoot a gun and miss her because he thought it was some like a bear or something like stalking him? Like he
no,
No,
she did.
felt something in the bushes, but
There is a scene where she stops him from attacking a bear.
yeah,
Um,
while they were
so
singing.
I think it was like, if I remember, like she saw him by the waterfall that she was going, because so the other thing you get from both of them, which they both kind of have the same personality, which is like they both like leaving the main groups and do like self exploration. So she ventures out, she sees him, and I'm drawing a blank, but yeah, he ends up seeing her as well, and I guess he finds her beautiful right away. But so they start trying to exchange words. So there is a language barrier, even though the whole movie's in English. Is
Yeah,
like, so he's like, "What's your name?" And then she doesn't understand, and then eventually says Pocahontas. And he goes, "I'm John Smith." So you get the hint that they're like language building together there, and that's how like they first start to know each other.
welcome, Fletcher.
Hey, what's up, guys? Sorry,
Hey,
No
Hey,
problem.
man.
good.
pick up my wife in a bit, and I was just finishing up. But
Cool.
where are we at?
We're at the part where John Smith and Pocahontas meet first time in the first movie.
Oh, okay, yeah. This is a cool moment.
You bet. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it gets back to kind of like it's funny because Pocahontas feels like one of those movies that now they can't like, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, I know.
those problematic movies, but it's so well done. I mean, the original story is a little jacked up, but they really work the animation and the everything, the way that they kind of flowed with it. It was just so pretty, It did,
Yeah,
it
it was,
did a
Yeah.
good job.
yeah, animation was magnificent.
Yeah, yeah.
And like Vagabundo, I know you're a little bit late. I was a little bit late myself, but like Vagabundo said earlier, the color patterns of the different scenes, like how the wind and the leaves in the wind change whatever with the mood and everything like that. That theme and motif is throughout the entire movie. So I agree with you. I agree with Vagabundo. It is all extremely well done. I didn't appreciate it as a child when I first saw it, but I appreciate it as an adult.
Yeah. Yeah, because when you see it now, you kind of shocked at how colorful it is. You never remembered how colorful it was. When you watch it again, you're like, wow, these colors are amazing. Colors that you
Yeah.
wouldn't think go together, because it does kind of bring you in. And I think they really wanted to get that, well, this is nature, nature's beautiful thing. And some of the new stuff, they used the CGI and kind of like a little bit of AI to do the nature scenes, just to get the I can't say grass, the grass and the trees and stuff like that. But with the animation in this, everything was so kind of almost neon, I would say. I mean, really, doesn't it have like kind of like a neon feel to it that was in the background that made it very surreal but very beautiful at the same time.
I guess
Yeah, I think more like pastel colors.
Yeah, like it's some cool neon pastels. Yeah.
Well, a lot of that too. Okay, so maybe I'm just now making this connection as well. But when you say that, and I'm looking at Sergeant Garantina's screen and all the screenshots of there, and you talking about the pastels and the almost neon thing, it reminds me quite a bit of like old sailors things, and they came over on boats like Red Sky at Night, Sailor's Delight, Red Sky at Morning, Sailor's Warning.
Right.
And so, like, maybe that is a motif in the background. Like, hey, we're going to pay attention to sunsets. We're going to pay attention to, like, all the other stuff that's going on.
Yeah, I mean, look at the backgrounds.
Mhm.
Look at her design. Even like there is a little bit of the background in her necklace, but it's still so well defined with the colors, and it just pops. And if you notice, you see there's a little bit of green on her hair, you know, and it's just, and also, sometimes that whole thing where people feel like, people of color are not drawn properly and stuff, it's so well done. It's so respectful that it just stands the test of time.
Yeah, it's almost like the light of the nature reflecting and the glints of her hair that are catching sunlight, even though they're in a wooded place.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even the darker scenes, they because you're like, oh, well, it's dawn or something, or it's night. But you still kind of get that reflection, a little bit of like, the magic and stuff. And I don't know, Sergeant, is this, I'm not really, super hype on the animation cells and stuff. But was this cell?
Yeah, it would definitely sell.
Cool. Yeah, that just makes such a difference. Right?
You bet. Yep.
Yeah, it really does. I mean, I just want to get back to hand-drawn animation, to be honest.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, me too.
I'm even okay with cell shading and everything like that, but we'll talk about it when we get to Pocahontas 2, if we end up getting that far. But like, you could tell they were testing their sea legs out, so to speak, on like 3D assets and CGI and animation, and going a lot away from like hand-drawn stuff. And it's like, oh my gosh, this is taking a turn for the worse, is it not? Is this one of the first signs that this is how it's going to go?
Yeah. Yeah, because they're putting too much investment into AI, because the people at the top see it as a weapon of exploitation and stuff. But and there's no, sure, AI is used for some things, but it can never be able to perfect what came before it. most of the time. Well, some things like this, the animation palettes and stuff
Right.
that are hand drawn are perfect examples of what AI cannot easily accomplish as of now. But also looking in at Pocahontas up closely, it's almost if Warner Brothers on the animation department was trying to recapture some of this animation with some of the project they got coming up using AI, like for the movies such as Aztec Batman and stuff. I mean, when I took a close look at Pocahontas in some scenes, it kind of looked like the palette was slightly similar to that from what I saw in the trailer to that movie coming up in the fall. Yeah, but
Well,
hey,
okay. One thing that I want to say regarding that, I agree with you, Sergeant. But just going back to like hand drawn animation, there's a couple of still shots and everything like that where the charm, what everyone talks about, the charm of hand drawn animation, not every shot looks completely like polished, but that's the charm of it. It's one of those things that like you can't duplicate it, and it's I mean it's hard to multiply, but it's just that's what happens when you have actual artists out there drawing things frame by frame by frame. And it's just like, yeah, that's kind of like what people look like in real life, because you hear people say like, oh, they're very photogenic, but in real life not, they don't look that great, but they take really great pictures. Well,
exactly.
there are also like absolutely beautiful models where you catch them from the wrong angle and they look a little bit wonky. That's what hand drawn animation captures, and that's the charm. And it kind of makes the world feel more lived in, as long as you have a good story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and this you had the story and you had the animation, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Correct. Yeah. Later on in the movie, Pocahontas introduces John Smith to grandmother Willow. Yeah, and she kind of surprised him too. Yeah, well, and she even scared the living daylights out of two settlers that were looking for Smith.
Yeah, this is Big Mama Willow is what I like to call her.
Yeah,
Like super sweet, but like, hold on, you're encroaching on my territory. I deem whether or not you're worthy.
yeah, yeah. But I also can't believe they would bring the person who voiced grandmother Willow into Solo to voice that thing that Solo threw something at the beginning of the movie too. I mean, you know, you are able to keep up with actor credentials, right, guys?
Right. I
Especially
mean,
with voice recognition.
I guess that's the thing. If when we were talking about AI, that's they take some of these great actors and they want to be able to put it into the machine, thinking it's gonna recreate the voice. But some of those times when it's the imperfections in it that we like. It's like the raspy voice. We don't want the perfect auto tune. Like you're saying, her voice has like a realness to it, like a ruggedness. You don't want to smooth that out. You want to show it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you ought to show it because if you don't, it's not going to blend in well with the public.
Yeah, well, also, I mean, as far as grandmother Willow, you want that because it kind of just shows it's an inherent trait that this person has gone through life as wide, has seen the hardships and the turmoils.
Yep.
Does that make like y'all get what I'm saying with that? Like,
Yeah.
you don't want someone to sound like Jodie Benson. You want someone who's like, "Oh, I've seen it all, honey. By the way, that shit doesn't matter. This is, I mean, it seems real big to you now, but you'll get over it. Just trust in this. Just trust in this." So it's like nurturing at the same time as being weathered and grizzled.
Yeah. I mean, she's talking in the form of a tree. You don't want that to be, you don't want it to be so melodic in a sense of where you lose kind of where it's coming from, right? And it can't be metallic. It has to be something organic. I like one time we were watching the documentary of the how they made the Guardians of the Galaxy, and
Uh-huh.
and me and my wife were shocked because they had Vin Diesel. He comes in stilts in the recording booths because he wants to, embody Groot. and he literally has a script of everything that he's saying, but he has to voice it in "I am Groot," right?
Mhm.
Yeah,
And
it can be quite
you know,
annoying sometimes.
and it's just like you're kind of saying, okay, you have this whole. That's the preparedness, That's the. I mean, I'm sure, you know, Grandmother Willow, was basically told, hey, the whole story behind her, right?
Yep.
And to be able to showcase it and to have that feeling behind it, you can't recreate that with the little computer simulation.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of my favorite artists, I believe, Aaron Blaze. He's a famous creature artist. Uh, he got his first start on The Lion King and Brother Bear or something, and then I think he also worked on this one too.
Hmm.
But he's like the best creature artist in the industry right now. But I know Disney's trying to get back to traditional animation. They had to. I know at Disneyland or whatever, they were hiring people to try to because a lot of people forgot how to do this. Even with like the new King of the Hill out right now, um, they're doing that new like puppet thing that everyone does. So because they lost all the equipment to do like traditional hand drawn animation
Oh wow.
and stand away from the CGI.
You mean puppeteering?
Well, yeah. So there's a kind of like if you're familiar with Rick and Morty, they're drawn. So they're kind of made into like puppets, stick figures type of thing, and they so where they can probably crank out episodes faster that way. But on like the traditional hand animation, you're missing like in between shots to make it really as smooth as it can be. Well, in between frames. But like if you watch like the new King of the Hill, you'll see like the animation's more choppy compared to the original King of the Hill
Hmm.
that we like grew up with.
Yeah. Yeah. A
It's
lot
all,
of,
it's all it's all just about cranking it out. Then is that what you're saying by it? I mean, because I could tell like massive differences in old animation versus what they try to do now. But like, is it just cranking it out?
Yeah, so if you do it like the Rick and Morty type of style, then you still have to draw certain scenes, but then your basic that they all face one direction that you don't really have that many head turns. So you can easily crank out things with you already got your mouth shapes, so you can switch between them when you need to,
Oh,
as
kind of
supposed to
like
be
template. Sorry, go ahead.
yeah, yeah, as supposed to be like individually drawn for each frame of a scene. You already have like this base template puppet that you can move along. Then certain scenes you might add a few things to it. There was a artist where he animated a court case that took place in Georgia, but he did the Rick and Morty style, and it took him a while. But I think Adult Swim or someone sued him to where he had to take it off of YouTube. But it was really good and funny. So
Aren't a lot of those people? I know a South Park used to be this way, and a Family Guy used to be this way. I don't watch either of those shows anymore, but they basically write the script and then send off those templates to like a South Korean animator, and that's why
yeah,
it look that way.
yeah. So well, okay. So South Park is its own unique thing because originally it was just cardboard cutouts, and they would just
Yeah,
switch
they
kind
were
of like
weren't they? Or
yeah.
they
Well,
cardboard.
yeah, they were like cardboard cut or like those that paper cardboard.
Yeah.
But the way that's why they didn't walk. They just did a little hopping thing, and so that's how come they can make an episode. So that was what unique with South Park is whatever current event happened within 6 to 7 days they can crank out an episode about whatever current event happened. Unlike a lot of traditional animation, one episode will take you like 9 months to a year just to make one episode. So the way most shows originally worked is you're working more than one episode at a time at a certain pace to where the audience thinks they're making episodes weekly, but they've been working on this stuff like for a long time. Like I think like Futurama, each episode took like over a year for one episode to be made.
Oh wow.
And funny that it was still funny and still relevant when they did come out.
Yeah, it's just South Park. It's the style of animation they use. They can crank out things faster that way. How they do it now, they just instead of doing the cardboard cutouts, they just do that digitally, which is fine. But a lot of your animation studios, even a lot of anime studios, after they get the main cells drawn, they send that the rest of it to like Thailand or South Korea, and South Korean stuff will do your in betweens and stuff, then send back over. And it was cheaper than doing it here in the United States or in Japan directly, and you got your show done.
And the
Yeah.
biggest difference with that and Pocahontas took like 4 years to make. You know, I mean, look at all the artistry behind it. Imagine all the work
Yeah.
that's to it.
So if you ever been to Disneyland and Hollywood, I've been in marching band, so I've been on tours. I even marched the Disneyland parade. But like they used to take us tours to where the animation halls are and where they would take the artists, and you see all the stuff they would use to like produce these the hand drawn animations and stuff for all the traditional movies and stuff. I know everything's gone to CGI with like the whole Pixar style, but they would hire like for like Lion King itself, they would take the artists to the zoos, see lions in person. They would bring animals in person as live models. They would do like field studies to where like, okay, this is how you draw the animals and stuff and get the movements and stuff right. And then they would take that and the knowledge from that, and they would all work out, and everyone does their part to make like the Lion King or Pocahontas or anything like that.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah. As soon as Pocahontas and John Smith kissed, it enraged Pocahontas and it provoked him into trying to kill Smith out of jealousy. However, Radcliffe handing Thomas Kincaid a rifle. He ends up getting shot and killed by Thomas, worried about losing his friend and companion. But of course, shooting Cocoam only made it worse, and it really hurt Pocahontas.
Yeah, this goes
Well,
back to the whole like some of the motifs and themes that go throughout there. Like I said earlier, like a lot of those Englishmen, the ones that came over, a lot of them were sold a bill of goods. They didn't know what they were getting into. They didn't understand, and the Indians didn't understand. And then whenever the only reason why Cocoam attacks anyway is because he thinks that John Smith is after Pocahontas. It's just like, why are you with this person? Why is this? This is an intruder. And then when Thomas sneaks out, because it's like, where is John sneaking off to? You know, I really look up to him. I want to see what he has been. I really want to see what he's been doing. And he's been told, stay away from the savages and everything like that. And he finds them two are together. He's like, I don't know what the fuck to do. But this guy is trying to kill John Smith. So, like, I can use a gun.
Yeah.
well, okay. So Thomas, he was saved originally by John Smith, and so once he saw Comcum attacking, so Thomas kind of has like a debt, his own little personal debt to John Smith for rescuing him, because he almost drowned at the beginning of the movie because he fell overboard the ship. Um, but throughout the movie, he's always been a bad shot with that rifle, and Radcliffe forces him to go follow John Smith to see where he's at, and then Concum comes out is with like another misunderstanding. Well, basically, a lot of the themes in the movie is acting without asking questions first. So, or taking time to try to understand the situation. So, Comcum, he doesn't understand the situation between John Smith and Pocahontas. He goes out there to check John Smith. Thomas sees that right away without understanding what's also going on, shoots Comcum, and then runs away. And as that happens, the other natives come through, see that John Smith is there and Comcum is dead, and there's a misunderstanding there, thinking that John Smith is the one that killed Comcum. so they take him for execution.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Yeah. Pocahontas was worried about John when he got taken and held up in solitary inside. Yeah, she was worried about him when her tribe took him into solitary confinement. Yeah. John
Yeah,
was
'cause she knew that he was innocent of it. He wasn't trying to do anything. He was trying to stop the guy.
right.
He was like, "Yeah, but you're going to be put to death for something that other people of your kind did."
Uh-huh.
Well, I because I watched the movie again this morning. So they assumed that he was the one that killed him because Thomas already runs back towards the rest of the settlers, and what the natives that came in, they kind of, instead of listening to Pocahontas, they kind of ignore her right away and just take John Smith away. And same thing with the father. She tries to go to her father, and without taking the time to listen to her side of the story, he takes John Smith to be executed.
Yeah, he was
Yeah, well,
overwhelmed by Oakland's death.
he lost his most proud, the biggest brave. You know what I mean? You know, Coquitlam, he had basically just made him like a leader of some of the troops of the tribe and everything like that. He was so proud of him, wanted him to marry his daughter, and was like, "Okay, you can be the next chief. Marry my daughter, the bloodline will be, restored and everything like that." He was really high on Coquitlam. And then whenever that happened, you're 100% right about this, Vagabundo, when you say it's literally just a confluence of events that happen where everyone acts without thinking. And the chief is the exact same way. Maybe not to bring modern day politics where like, oh yeah, like they didn't listen to women, because he definitely does listen to his daughter Pocahontas. But you also have to remember that I can't remember her name, but Pocahontas' best friend, she kind of rats her out too.
Yeah,
The reason why Coquitlam shows up in the
Nakoma.
first place.
Yeah, Nakoma.
Yeah. Because everyone knows Pocahontas is a free spirit, but they also know she's good-hearted. But they don't put her in that moment because they are at war sometimes with other tribes, and they need their braves and generations to move on. That's what the chief wants for Pocahontas, is to marry them, like bear me sons and children and everything like that, and you'll be with Coco, our best and finest. And then he gets killed. It's like there's this white man, this white devil that just came up. Now all these problems are happening. Oh shit! He's got to be put to death.
Yeah.
Yeah. So because Nakoma, because she bats for Pocahontas one instance before, and I guess out of concern, it's kind of like your friends, like, okay, I trust you, but I think I still need to go tell the authorities, which would be the elders or whatever. So it was somewhat of a betrayal, but at the same time, it was out of concern for Pocahontas, because again, a more misunderstanding. She's like, well, Pocahontas keeps running away with this guy and stuff keeps happening. Maybe it's time for me to actually say something instead of just standing by the sidelines.
Did I say betrayal? I didn't mean that.
Oh,
I may have said betrayed her, but I said ratted her out. But
well, yeah, you didn't say betrayal. I think, but I got what you were saying though. But
it came from a good heart. It came from a place of goodwill, but it just wasn't the right thing for the story.
You're right. But even at the same time, because like it's kind of like a yin and yang thing too. Because even the settlers, out of goodwill, they wanted to go, of course, help John Smith.
Please.
Hey, Emily.
Hi, Emily.
Hi.
What's going on, girl?
Hi.
Yep. Just in time. Yeah.
Good. But yeah, I was just saying that Yeah, so the settlers, because Radcliffe knows, hey, because Radcliffe he talks to his little minion guy, like his little servant guy that's like trying to feed the pug all the time. Like
Yeah.
now I can get these guys to do what I say. Um, Now that there's a perfect situation where John Smith is captured, the guys just wanted, because John Smith was their hero. They just wanted to help John Smith. So he's like, oh, the only way to do that is to attack these savages, and that's when we get the whole savages song montage. And but they don't even have bad hearts. They just know their local hero John Smith is in trouble and they need to go help him.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, look at the emotion.
Go ahead, Emily. You first.
I mean, look at the emotions. You start turning into, from the pastels down to the more sharper, the cool colors behind, and the warm colors up front, just kind of signifying that heated, uh, just the anger, right? I mean, it's not subtle. It's really there. And this is back when it's so cool because now I think children's media is kind of toned down to the sense where they have to tell you everything, but here you're shown something, right? You're shown that there's anger here. You can see the colors, bringing that to life. Even if you don't hear anything, just watching it, that this is something that's headed for tragedy, right? This is out of malice and anger.
Yeah.
Well,
Definitely.
it's disingenuous as well from Ratcliffe's point of view. He knows he can't rally the troops. Nobody really cares, but he has like the king's decree and all the money, so they have to listen to him. And then, but everyone who came with him, they all idolized John Smith. So when something happens to John Smith, he was like, "This is the only way we can get it. This is the only way I can bring some bounty to the king.
Yeah.
I have to rally these troops. This is the rallying call. Now they're on my side."
Yeah.
And it's just like just like a violent mob, just like any rioters nowadays. Is like all you have to do is have one little thing that you all hinge upon, and you'll go absolutely insane and crazy. Not thinking about it, just thinking only off emotions, and that's what they do.
Yeah.
Right.
Plenty of emotions.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. The scuffle really filled them up with so much emotional anger. Yeah. And you could see the cuts. Yeah. Yeah. And the song Savages, you could see how the animation has been done well with Radcliffe and the settlers up there in the background, and the Nate and the indigenous people here in the traveling on the river, heading over to the cliff. Yeah, it's quite impressive how they executed this scene in the movie.
Yeah.
It is reminiscent of Gaston leading LeFou and everybody to the Beast Castle, but it does have its own particular flair to it. It's not copy. It's not copy and paste whatsoever.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's the thing with the Disney movies of this era, where they all had their unique little flair, right? I mean, it wasn't very cookie cutter. Even like the modern Pixar stuff, Pixar was like the computer animation like superstar, but now things are even there trying to look the same. And as far as the art, I mean, each princess, each everything had its own flair, right? It had its own style to it. It wasn't, Pocahontas doesn't look like, Sleeping Beauty and so forth.
Exactly. Everything was distinct.
Yeah.
Even though you had a lot of them being the same animators and the same directors and the same person like Alan Menken, writing the music for these things, they had their own distinct styles, and you knew what you were watching when you were watching it. And somehow, all the princesses were still pretty in their own way.
Right?
Yeah.
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 Agreed.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Anyway, after Pocahontas stopped her father from executing Smith, Radcliffe get the he wanted to get the troops focused into attacking the Indians, but Smith thwarted his attempt, and shooting him ended up turning the troops against him, and they took him back to the ship to for punishment.
Yeah, it's like a treason.
Yeah. In the end, Pocahontas she did show forgiveness to Thomas at the end, while the while while the settlers took Radcliffe off the island and brought him back to the ship to to head back to England. But of course they on their way back they brought some food to share with the people back in England. Yep, that was given to them.
I think one of the great things about that still right there, because Thomas didn't really know what he was doing. He thought he was doing the right thing, and maybe not necessarily so. And then whenever Pocahontas sings to John Smith "Colors of the Wind," and he thinks the bear is attacking, and so he goes to put up the gun, and she puts it down because the bear is literally just protecting its own kids. Like, she actually paid attention to things. Like, okay, she acted while actually thinking about it, going back to Vagabundo's point, whereas Thomas thought he was doing the right thing, but he didn't really think it through. Everyone's been doing that whole stuff, but Pocahontas like thought about it and was like, you know what? No, paint with all the colors of the wind. No, we need to pay attention to nature. We need to understand both sides. This is really the point where both sides begin to understand each other, and like bridges are being made. And so I thought that was a beautiful, like, little way to basically end the movie. It doesn't end right there, but it's very close in the beginning of the third act.
Yeah, real close.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, Christian Bale did a good job at voicing Thomas back then. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I had no idea he actually voiced this guy. I was more.
Oh, and, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was more. I mean, 10 years after hearing him as Thomas, he would go on to play Batman in Batman Begins.
It's funny. Sometimes I keep forgetting Christian Bale is British.
Yeah.
Well, isn't he Scottish? Wait, he's something weird. Sorry,
Yeah.
I didn't mean it that way, but I'm pretty sure he's not from Britain, but he's like Scottish or Welsh or something.
One of the weird parts is what you're saying?
Yeah, are you from there too?
No. I'm from South America. So we're weird too.
Yeah.
No, we're weird as shit. We get along so well.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, he's from Haversford West. He's from yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's from Wales. It looks like
Welshman.
Welsh, yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. Pembrokeshire.
Yep. Yeah. At the end, Pocahontas and John Smith said their goodbyes, and she goes up onto the top of the cliff to watch the settlers leave. Yeah. Yeah. John Smith was her love interest in this first one, but the second one helped redirect her interest to John Rolfe. Now let's go on to part 2, Journey to a New World. Yep, the sequel and the follow-up to the first one. This movie features her going to England as a diplomat for her, representing her people. Yeah.
What did you guys think about it? Okay, before we, everyone needs to give their thoughts, and then we can like tear it apart, or not tear it apart, but break it down.
Sure.
Um, honestly, I'd never seen number two. So, honestly, I just found out there was a number two today. Uh, that's the extent of my knowledge. So, if you want to go over the actual history of Pocahontas, I could probably do that.
Sure.
So,
Hey, funny enough, this the second one is actually closer to the actual history of Pocahontas.
Hmm.
The first one is mostly made up. Obviously, you have some famous characters that are in there, but that's more of like that's how Disney did fairy tales and that kind of stuff. They took the source material and then made it for families and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Made it fit more properly. Then, because if you just tell the real life story, pretty much everything ends in tragedy back then.
yeah.
Like how they changed the ending of The Little Mermaid where she lives, but in the original one she dies.
Yeah, she turns into sea foam in the actual book, but yeah, you're 100% right about that.
Yeah. Yeah. Color palette is
I
different.
just remember the only thing about the I had remembered was that it was since Mel Gibson played Smith,
Yeah.
right? Um,
Yeah.
and in this one though, it was his brother, right? Is like his older brother, isn't it? His older brother or something?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. His brother
Donald or
took over
something.
the role.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
I
the
actually
color palette I can see is a little bit more muted in this one.
Yeah, well, earlier on, I think it was before you were here, Fletch, or Fletcher, however you want to be called.
All
Um,
right.
the in this movie they leaned way more heavily into like the very early versions of CGI. I don't want to say Lawnmower Man type levels, but like it kind of felt that way watching it nowadays. I was like, you could have just animated this, and then to me nothing but pratfalls. Like this was, I can't even remember their names, but the hummingbird and the raccoon. That was their entire story the whole
Look
time.
and Miko.
Yeah.
Nico, yeah, Flick, yeah.
Hey everyone, how you doing?
Yeah.
High
What's up?
13.
Oh, good. How are you?
Oh,
Hello.
Good. I'm good.
Yeah. Anyway. Yeah. Miko was quite a ham in this movie.
You know they were supposed to talk originally in both Pocahontas 1 and 2, but they dropped the idea because it was too similar to Mulan. You know that, right?
Yeah. I
I
think
did
That's
so.
why
know
they
that.
that's why they were around, they were more animated than they should. They had more of a role because they were supposed to talk.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It was supposed to be like
It makes sense,
Mushu.
but I'm kind of glad that they didn't talk though.
And I
'Cause
believe
I
that
feel
the
like it,
go ahead.
well, I feel like it may have like reached levels of like over the hedge. You know what I mean? Where it's like they have such a prominent role, yet they're always talking, but it's always like goofy kind of stuff that they're doing. It's like, do we really need that?
Yeah, you didn't really need a super comic relief like the dragon from Milan or whatever, or
Mhm.
Pumbaa.
I heard originally that John Candy was supposed to voice the raccoon, but because he died during the development, out of respect, they scrapped the idea. So
Oh,
I that could be a complete rumor, but if that is true, then that's good that they did that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
most back John Candy, awesome.
Because how
Yeah.
can you replace John Candy? What, you're going to get Chris Farley and make it more goofier, right? Like no disrespect to Chris Farley, he's funny, but at least John Candy, he's funny too, but he's more wholesome in the sense like he could be like your brother or uncle figure, like your crazy uncle that gets you into trouble, but then in the end he saves us inadvertently.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I think it works. I mean, I can't speak for the second movie, but for the first one, I think it works out when they don't talk because since the whole movie is going through different ranges of emotions from Pocahontas to the different characters. That if you're doing like too many uh, funny gag scenes with the animals or whatever, and while they're talking, I think they'll throw things off. I
Yeah.
mean, we already have a talking tree, so I think that was good enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they part of the reason besides Candy dying in Mulan was like, well, we want this to be as serious as possible without going to the deep end to the R territory. So
Uh-huh.
we want to make it a little goofy so kids can watch it, but we also want to keep the story as much serious as we can without showing blood and gore.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Makes
this one didn't
sense.
even make it to the movie theaters, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, this is
Yeah.
it was straight to video.
Yeah.
One of the early direct to DVD sequels.
Yeah.
Right. Like, remember they had like the big, thick, like binder looking boxes?
Yeah, it was the white binder thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
And if you didn't take care of it properly, it chipped away or it broke instantly. Oh my god, I missed those, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
They warped.
Yeah, and if you had it near an area like the sun was hitting it, like you had a window area where your shelf where you put your movies or books at, it gets destroyed a lot more quicker too.
And those were the real ones. The swap meet ones were even worse.
Ooh.
But it's still good animation compared to new animation.
It's sad but true, Fletcher, because it's like now they're cutting corners. Like at least Disney back then, they're like, fuck it, we're gonna put our A game regardless if it's direct to video or for television. We're gonna treat it like DuckTales, because DuckTales was their first TV show officially, and they spent way too much money, and that's why it looks so beautiful in the animation. Like it looked way better than most animated shows because it was Disney.
Yeah.
And they never did that before. So even into direct video, they're like, no, we're going to put our A game into it. Now Disney's like, nah, we're going to do whatever. We're going to cut corners.
Well, that's because back then they had to, solve a mystery or rewrite history.
You can definitely tell that they were pushing boundaries.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I've talked about this like 2 times on the stream already, but like using the CGI assets and like incorporating 3D a lot more with Pocahontas #2. It's like you could tell Disney was not afraid, even to straight to video stuff. They were not afraid to push the boundaries. Let's see what we can get away with. Maybe it won't work in the theater, but people will see that because the original Pocahontas was a hit, and then we can just sell these. That was back when the Disney Vault was still a thing. And when any kind of Disney movie came up in stores, people went and got them because they were going away in 2 months. And like, who knows when you're going to see them again? 6 months from now, you're going to have a Columbia House subscription or something like that. It's the only way you can get them.
Yeah.
Also, another reason why they did the direct-to-video sequels was because they wanted to sell it as a double or triple pack to make more money. And then they said, "Oh no, I'm gonna, the Disney Vault. If you want to get the original, you have to get the second and third sequel, right?" So you had like, Aladdin. You had, Cinderella, right? You got to get the trilogy if you're going to get the first one. So get it now.
Yeah. You can save $5 if you get all 3 of them at once.
And then John Lasseter said no. It was like when he took in charge, like, no, we're stopping this. And I'm like, part of me is like, it's good, but another was like, hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, because we would have never had Aladdin the TV series or Hercules if it wasn't for the direct-to-video marketing that Disney did.
Oh,
Yeah, or Prince of Thieves, Return of Jafar. I love both of those movies, by the way. Toy Story 2 was going to be that way. I've said that already, but like it ended up getting a theatrical release because it was so well known. But yeah, there's a whole bunch of Disney direct-to-video films that are absolutely golden. And yes, it was cheaper on them, but they told the same stories, or they didn't tell the same stories, but they told like stories that would last forever on a cheaper budget. It's just a lot of people didn't get people nowadays, they're never going to see those films. That's the part where, in my opinion, that business plan fails. It worked for them at the time, but like 20, 25 years down the road, it completely fails them because nobody knows. Vagabundo didn't even know that Pocahontas had a part two.
Right.
And sometimes the reason why these directed videos also happen, besides making extra money for the original movies, is because they were pilots to a TV series like Hercules and Aladdin, and they failed inward in Disney or test audience. So they said, well, we already made these couple of episodes, so we might as well package them as a movie. So we cram in 3 or 4 episodes that we already made, and if it does well, we can do another one down the road.
Sergeant, I think you're muted.
Yeah, you're muted, buddy, because I thought someone was going to say something. And
Oh, yeah. Anyway, John Rolfe meets Pocahontas as soon as he arrives on the island. Yeah. Yeah, she did not trust him at first, but eventually they began to understand each other before going further. Yeah. Well, here he starts off coming to deliver a horse to her father, who he mistook for Pocahontas. Yeah, that was funny. Mistaking the chief for Pocahontas when it was actually her father.
They all have long hair.
they all look
Yeah.
alike, according.
Quite impressive.
Wait, so I haven't seen the second one. Is John Smith prominent in there? Because I've seen more images with the other guy.
What do you mean by prominent?
Meaning that he is he a central character to the story? That's what he mean. Is he
Yes,
like
he
is he important to the plot?
Yeah, he is.
I remember it was like near the end, like he started to appear more in the film.
Yeah, that too.
It makes you wonder the reason why he had less of a screen in this movie was because Mel Gibson said, I ain't doing this film unless you pay me good money.
Oh,
Uh-huh.
And if you want somebody that sounds like me, go get my brother.
yeah.
Basically, what Tom Hanks did with his brother, right? And anything that's not like the main Toy Story stuff or like an ABC TV movie tie-in, it's always Tom Hanks' little brother.
Yeah.
So the video games, whatever, yeah.
Okay,
ahead,
that
Matt.
makes sense.
Here's the thing: everybody says they sound alike. I'm like, they don't sound alike at all.
Right.
They don't sound anything alike. Like Tom Hanks' voice is so unique that his brother sounds like he's trying to do an impression of Tom Hanks, but barely can sound like him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's kind of like the Jackie Chan thing with Jackie Chan Adventures when they got the James Sai, right, or Say.
Yeah.
To voice, everybody's like, "Oh, he sounds like Jackie Chan." They don't sound anything alike. The guy who plays Jackie on the show, James Sai, said, "Hi, I'm Jackie Chan." Right? In real life, Jackie sounds, "Hey, it's me, Jackie Chan. I like to do the drop kick. I like to do swing, punch, kick.
Yeah.
Yes, I love all the colors in the rainbow." That's how he sounds like. So you're obviously not going to have him dub in English for a cartoon.
Yeah.
So the point is like, yeah, whenever they're not available or they try to use sound-alikes, sometimes it's a hit or a miss.
Exactly.
It's not 100% perfect unless it even happened with Billy West when Casey Kasem got fired. Or he quit because he wanted Shaggy to be a vegan or a vegetarian because they wanted him to do a Burger King commercial. And at the time, Casey was a vegan. And he said no. So they got Billy West to do was it the Zombie Island or the Cyber Chase Me?
Yeah.
One of those movies.
Zombie Island.
He did the voice, and in some moments he sounded like Casey. He sounded really good, but but in certain moments his voice cracked, and you could tell it's just Billy West talking.
Right.
And to be fair for Billy, right? They probably didn't tell him, "Hey, can you wait 2 or 3 months to do a perfect impression and then come back?" They probably told him on the spot, "You have 2 weeks to do this, to do your best Casey Kasem impression of Shaggy,
Yeah.
or else you're not getting the gig." And he was close enough, and that's what happened.
Yep.
Even Eddie Murphy, you know the PJs, right?
Yeah.
The first couple of episodes, Eddie Murphy actually voiced the main character on the show. He voiced PJ. He did. But the problem was he was too busy doing movies.
Yeah.
So they got a stand-in, aka his voice double whenever he wasn't available / for practice tests, right? So he was a placeholder voice. People say, "Oh no, they got an impersonator." No, he was always there. He was his placeholder voice when he was unavailable to record for that day or something. And since he didn't come back, they said, "Oh, we're just going to leave you in."
Yeah.
Right.
So weird, man. Just a question, Sarge, did they replace Pocahontas' voice actress in the second one?
Nope. She returned.
Okay, because they do that sometimes, like the original voice actors or voice actors, just because the money isn't there, they just leave the project.
Yeah.
Like Eddie Murphy did not return for Mulan 2.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't return. It was just some other guy doing a weird impersonation of Eddie Murphy's voice. And he doesn't sound anything like Eddie Murphy. And yet people say, "Oh, he sounds like Eddie Murphy." No, he doesn't. If they would have gotten Ari Spears from Mad TV, that would have been close enough.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. Like, I know for, like, even for like Friday the animated series, there was an Asian guy voicing the character for Smokey, which was pretty close on that one.
Really? I thought it was Phil Lamar, but I could have been wrong. I'm like, holy
No, Friday the animated series was an Asian comedian, but the way he talked was so similar to
Chris Tucker.
how Chris Tucker talks. So, but it was almost perfect. I thought it was pretty good.
Wow.
Yep. Yeah, it's true.
I never understood that about, like, when famous celebrities would voice a character, right? And then they get recasted for whatever reason, right? There are exceptions to the rules, right? Like for example, Tobey Maguire and Willem Dafoe came back to voice him in the video game, which
Yeah.
they did. They didn't have to do that, but they did.
Yeah, they did.
I like that because it shows they're like, well, I don't want, like, maybe part of me is like, man, they really love the part. It's like another part of me is like, although their ego is like, I don't want some guy saying, basically pretending to be me.
Yeah.
They're talking like me, but they do a horrible impression.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes sense in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I think Johnny Depp as Jack Sparrow probably voiced one of the Pirates of the Caribbean video games. I don't know which one, but he only voiced one of them.
The first one.
Yeah, and then the rest, they just got some guy that, you know, I'm not trying to be rude, but he doesn't sound anything like Jack.
Yeah.
Taylor.
He sounds like doing an impression of Jack Sparrow.
Hmm.
You know, it's kind of like what is it? It's Christopher Walken's. You know, it's doing the funny voice like this, and then Christopher Walken started doing the voice like this too, and everybody was thrown off. It got ridiculous.
Yeah.
It started funny, and then it got weird when Christopher Walken was doing an impersonation of his own voice.
Right.
Yeah.
I love in that Country Bears movie, Christopher Walken was acting very serious. So silly.
Yeah, it is.
That was pretty funny.
You know, speaking of Christopher Walken's, you know that, Kangaroo Jack, right? You know that was supposed to be an R-rated movie, right?
Oh yeah.
I could see that.
It was, especially like the scenes with the chick in you know, they put a shirt over her. I don't know if that was CGI or not, but
Oh,
the scene where they're near the waterfall or whatever in the cave,
that.
and then
Well-
go ahead, Vagabond.
Because maybe I know around that time too. Sometimes you could get away with things on PG-13 movies. Was Kangaroo Jack PG-13?
No, they made it straight PG like Scooby Doo. They just said, "Screw it, we're gonna make it into a kids movie as much as possible." They didn't even try to hide it being a PG, because at least with a PG-13, there's like, well, as long as we say one fuck or one shit, you know, it's PG-13 back then. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And the
'Cause I
parents
know,
know what
like-
they're bringing them into.
Yeah, I know regular shows. They're making an adult version of that one because it was originally supposed to be an adult show.
Yeah, ironically, it was, because in the student film version, they were cursing, and they put it for Adult Swim, and they told them no.
Yeah,
And then they just did Cartoon Network, which was hilarious.
that show was solely for stoners.
Oh, absolutely. Just like SpongeBob was technically
Yeah.
for stoners.
Eventually, soon as the party began, Radcliffe made his move and had one of his associates bring a chained bear to the party to aggravate Pocahontas into terrifying the king into giving him the permission he needs to seek war with her tribe while having his guards lock her and her guard up. But eventually word got out, and John Smith came out of a tavern to work with John Rolfe to rescue her.
Yeah,
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
Why do you think they used John Smith instead of John Rolfe in the original film? It's weird.
Yeah, I have no idea.
I never understood that. You still could have had John Smith in the story because he was a part of that.
Yeah.
I think
He,
probably John Smith's the most recognizable name out of the two.
and obviously he's more handsome looking, the way he's depicted by people, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
It's kind of like Paul Revere, right? And
Right.
the British is coming, and it's not Paul Revere. It was somebody else, like this Sam. Oh no, it was Sam Adams. Sam Adams. They used Paul Revere's face because Sam Adams, you know, not to be mean, but he wasn't handsome at all compared to Paul Revere.
right.
So,
It's
go ahead, Emily.
it's kind of like how a lot of times they make Balto the dog be recognized for a lot of stuff, and that he was the one that brought the medicine back to the town, even though it was another dog.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
But yeah,
Yep. Yeah. 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 As soon as they got out, Pocahontas had to follow her path again to the closest river, Eventually, she undoes the hairstyle and reverts it back to her nice, beautiful, long, wavy hair form. And then they had to discuss what they need to do to stop Radcliffe from leading our armada. And yeah, she goes up. Then she goes to confront King James at his royal palace. And with the help of John Smith, she was able to get through to him and advises him not to let others do too much of the speaking for him, but to make his own decisions himself. And eventually, he wakes up and agrees that they need to put a stop to Radcliffe.
Hey,
That-
Sarge, Vagabond
Yeah.
has to get going, so.
Oh, take care.
Oh yeah, thanks. Yeah, thanks for having me on. Sorry I couldn't contribute much to the Pocahontas too because I haven't seen that one. But yeah, thanks for having me on, and take care, everybody.
All right,
Yeah.
take care, Vagabond.
See you,
All right, you too.
Vagabond.
All right, take care, everyone.
Yep. See you later on Discord too.
All right, you too.
Laters.
Anyway, back to where we were. We come to the part where they had to stop Radcliffe and his armada from leaving England and heading back to Virginia. Yeah, Snow White and the two Johns she's in love with go onto the ship to take down his men and his fleet. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, the event yes. After overpowering his men and stuff, John Smith confronts Radcliffe in a swift and brief sword fight. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, it was quite fun seeing a tale and a fight of three Johns. First, he says that he was the ghost of John Smith before the rest of the crew got wise and tried to take him down. Yeah, it was quite a. Yeah, this was quite fun. Seeing seeing a battle against Radcliffe and his armada that he had deceived, tricked into trying to bring to. They was trying to bring to with him to hunt down and wipe out Pocahontas' people, but he was thwarted. But with the help of John Rolfe, Smith defeated Radcliffe, and King James had him arrested and in the put in the dungeon as punishment for trying to lead his people to war without his actual permission. yeah, yeah, it was humiliating for him that he ends up getting handcuffed by the guards and taken away. And it was quite fun, this movie was. And at the end, yeah. And in the end, Pocahontas was heading back to Virginia to reunite with her people, and coming with her is John Rolfe, who eventually marries her, and and the and the two embraced as they head back to Virginia. That is tonight's and that is our top and that, folks, concludes our topic for tonight. Thanks again for coming, guys.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I'll need to make sure my video is secure so that any of that what doesn't happen again. It
No, I
happened.
hear that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, last month we built with that before, and I can't put up with that much longer. So we'll have to use Discord and X to get you guys on. But in the
Thank you for
meantime,
having me on.
you're welcome, Emily,
Happy to
and
be here, man.
thank you for coming on, King.
Yeah.
Take
It's a pleasure,
care.
man. You take care.
Yeah, yeah. See ya.
Take care.
Yeah. Good night, guys.
Nighty night.